Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, because obviously today we saw a big dump to the downside after confirming this bearish divergence in the Bitcoin charts. Now, in the case that you don't know, a bearish divergence is when you have higher highs in the Bitcoin price and lower highs in the RSI momentum indicator. This bearish divergence confirmed at about 108K in the Bitcoin price, and usually a bearish divergence plays out either in the form of some choppy sideways price action or potentially some bearish momentum. So overall, this bearish divergence is playing out exactly as expected. Besides that, we should also take a look at this 2-day time frame for Bitcoin, because here we have a bull flag pattern after this big move to the upside, followed by this descending channel for Bitcoin. And yes, even with this being a bullish bias pattern, meaning that it is more likely to break out to the upside, as I have been warning about over the last couple days here, we should be completely open to the possibility of a full move back down to the lows at around 98K, so long as we have not broken out of this pattern. Now, again, just in case you missed some of my recent videos, guys, in 2024, we had a massive descending channel that lasted over 6 months. And what actually really helped us during this time was to basically be patient and really wait for confirmed candle closes before flipping too bullish on Bitcoin. Now, this was something that many people got wrong during this time, and I've basically been comparing it to this descending channel right here, where, yeah, we aren't seeing those candle closes outside of the pattern, and therefore, during a time like this, patience is likely going to be rewarded. So for now, we are not seeing any signs of a breakout happening soon. At the very least, we need to invalidate this bearish divergence on the 4-hour time frame first. Now, usually this would be if we make some kind of new high in the RSI or a new high in the Bitcoin price. In this case, though, the current RSI is so far away from this descending trend line that this is the type of situation where you basically just have to wait it out until this 4-hour bearish divergence is no longer relevant and we start getting some kind of reversal signal, like perhaps a bullish divergence on the lower time frames here or something like that. Another thing to keep an eye on is, for example, this 2-hour time frame where we have just found some support along this descending trend line. So right now I'm looking towards these Fibonacci levels, like for example this point 236 sitting at 106K as a potential area of resistance. And above that, we also have resistance at this point 382 sitting at 106.6K. Overall, though, as you can see on this 1-hour time frame, the trend is still down here. So if you're really looking for some kind of a next move to the upside, then look for a potential bullish divergence to confirm. But even if that does not end up happening, at the very least, guys, we need to break this descending trend line. And the resistance at this time is sitting at about 106.6K. But keep in mind that this does trend down over time. So if we end up breaking through that descending line of resistance, then keep an eye on these Fibonacci levels on the right side here, because these will be acting as some levels of resistance. The most bullish case would be breaking through this Fibonacci golden pocket sitting between 107.4K and 107.5K. After that, we can actually start looking for a bigger move breaking above these previous highs and start looking at a bigger uptrend happening again on the higher time frames as well. But until then, guys, for now, we are simply just in a downtrend. Although there are some potentially bullish signs here in the short term, because if I take a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, first of all, on this 3-day time frame, we have now taken out most of that liquidity to the downside on this time frame at least, meaning that right now most of the liquidity is to the upside, sitting at around 109K, where we have the biggest pocket, but there is already big liquidity sitting at around 106.9K as well. On the 1-month time frame, we have a bit of a different picture, because yes, we still have massive liquidity around the 109K level to the upside. However, there is still a decent amount of liquidity to the downside as well, sitting at 104.5K. Now, the reason why I'm showing you guys all of this is because typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart, and therefore where the biggest pockets of liquidity are is where the Bitcoin price is likely to get attracted to. Right now in the short term, we are technically still just in a downtrend, and therefore it makes sense to also look towards liquidity to the downside as well. But if we start seeing reversal signals, like again, for example, a bullish divergence showing up, us breaking that descending trend line, then look for whatever liquidity is sitting here to the upside at that time on the lower time frames, because that's where the Bitcoin price will likely get attracted to once again. Overall, on this highest time frame, most of the liquidity is sitting at 111k in the Bitcoin price. So yes, overall on this higher time frame, once again, even with us getting rejected right now, and yes, a move all the way down to 98k is still on the table, my base case outlook here is that eventually we are going to break out above this descending line of resistance, currently sitting at about 108.5k, after which it would set up this price target of 126k in the Bitcoin price, and taking out that big level of liquidity at around 111k here. So that is the base case on the channel, and that is still what I'm looking out for as soon as we end up breaking that descending line of resistance. Lastly, taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables, yesterday we saw another big inflow into the Bitcoin ETFs, over $100 million in a single day of trading. So overall, just like I have said for the past 3 weeks or so, the Bitcoin ETFs are still having an upwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. Either way, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.